Welcome back to Zero Sum Gaming here at the Culture Cache. By now you've probably noticed things are a little different this time around. That's because Harrison Young requested Ready Player One as a birthday present to his friend Peacock. Happy birthday, Peacock! In the book, the game Black Tiger features very prominently, and I figure, what other chance am I going to get to talk about this classic Capcom platformer? Let's check the game out.
Wade, the main character of Ready Player One, is a master of 80s arcade games. Or at least that's what he claims. I do take aim at the fact that he misses the very first hidden item in the game in the book. Still, it's awesome of author Ernest Cline to dig up a fairly obscure yet oft-beloved game. There's a very good chance you've never heard of this game. It's only by sheer good fortune that I have the affection I do for it myself. Growing up, whenever we went to the laundromat, there were only two games to play, Silkworm and Black Tiger. Considering that I'd have to beg to get a quarter or two, I learned to make them last, and Black Tiger certainly offers a bargain. If you know what you're doing, that single quarter can buy you upwards of an hour of playtime. Imagine my shock when I went away to college and this was one of the titles in the local arcade. I instantly rekindled my love affair with this cult classic. After all, as a poor starving college student at the time, I still had to beg to get a quarter or two. This is one of only two arcade games I can reliably single credit. This stands out, since arcade games, by design, have to kill you to keep you feeding the machine's gluttonous appetite for quarters. Seeing someone beat an arcade game start to finish on a single game really is a thing of beauty. Truly, I am a man well suited to the scene. And bonus points to anyone who can beat Dragon Slayer on command without dying. A well-balanced game like Black Tiger rewards players who improve their play by making their games more price-worthy. The action comes first, but exploration is also rewarded. For example, each stage has an optional dungeon area you can explore or ignore. The choice is yours. The Black Tiger Experience, man, that would be a great name for a band, spans 8 stages, each of which is longer than the last. This presents 2 opposing views on how to tackle each level. Do you want to explore and find all sorts of goodies to empower your character? Or do you want to stampede right toward the boss and dispatch him as quickly as possible? Personally, I like to mix the two. Early on, I like to cover every square inch of the playfield in order to find everything I can. Once I have the maximum health and best weapon, I take the direct route for the duration of the game. By that time, the levels have gotten quite difficult, making survival much more of an ordeal anyway. Yes, you heard that right. This is an arcade game with character advancement. It's pretty basic, but it's just the right amount to give this game some good depth and longevity. You can empower your character in 2 different ways. The more obvious of the two is through the purchasing of weapons. Counting the one you start with, there are 5 weapons in the game, each more powerful than the last. If you want, you're welcome to skip the intermediate weapons, but I never do. Each one offers both a cosmetic and a functional change. You can visibly see your Barbarian hero wielding his new toy, and you get a damage boost to boot. The other enhancement for your noble wandering hero is to his vitality. At the start of the game, you have only 1 bar of vitality, meaning it is either full and you're alive, or it's empty and you're dead. While you may begin to question the use of a vitality meter that's either always full or always empty, it's actually there from the start as a clue that you can expand it. It goes up solely based on points. Think of your score in this game like experience points. You get your first increase by hitting 20,000 points, and each after that happens with 100,000. In order to max out your vitality at 5 bars, you need 320,000 points. This is assuming you're playing the US Black Tiger and not the Japanese Black Dragon. The requirements are higher in Black Dragon. One of the best ways to quickly rack up the points you need to elongate your vitality is to find the hidden items in each stage. There are 3 per stage, except for 7, which only has 2. You can find these items by smashing certain walls. Fans of Castlevania will feel right at home here. You'd be shocked at the variety of things you can find stored in these subterranean supports. There are elephants, barrels, hammers, and octopi, just to name a few. Curse those evil octopi. On second thought, don't. They're worth 80,000 points. In addition to score boosters, you can also find armor upgrades, money, time, extra lives, and other things. Wait, time? Yes. For those of you too young to remember, most games back then featured an arbitrary time requirement. You still see the occasional holdout clinging hard to this tradition, such as Super Mario 3D Land, but by and large, most games have abandoned this. You have 2 minutes to complete each stage in Black Tiger, but you're going to need more than that. Once you really get good at this game, running out of time actually becomes your most likely cause of death. Thankfully, hourglass icons are fairly plentiful, and each one adds 30 seconds to the timer. You can also receive extra time by saving petrified sages. Who's the little old man? There are many strange statues scattered across the stages. Each one is really an imprisoned sage. If you release him from his stony prison, he will grant you a reward. Some will heal you, many give you money, some let you spend it. You can also receive advice, or the best gift of all, the gratitude of the sage. Okay, screw that. I want my free shit. I worked hard to free your ass. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, this is a very action-packed game. Each press of the attack button swings your primary weapon and throws 3 daggers at 3 different trajectories. Frankly, you feel powerful playing this game. You do need to master the exact angles and speeds of your weapons, and also which is the best to use in a plethora of different situations. Be wary of relying too heavily on your knives though. Certain enemies and traps can poison you, which prevents you from throwing your trusty projectiles. You can purchase antidotes to cure or even prevent this poisoning, and you'd be wise to do so. Just keep an eye on your Zenny. Zenny? Wait, is this still last time's Breath of Fire 3 video? It's true, it's true. Black Tiger and Breath of Fire, along with many other Capcom games, do share a common currency. In this game, you can use it to buy weapons to increase your damage dealing potential, keys to open chests, the aforementioned antidotes, and upgrades to your armor. Personally, I think the keys are a waste of money. They're pretty plentiful in the levels already, and opening chests is a bit of a gamble. I prioritize weapons until I have the best, then I keep a stock of potions on hand and try to keep as high an armor level as possible. Armor in this game functions a bit like Ghosts and Goblins, but the system is noticeably deeper. You start each life with 2 armor points, but you can increase this amount by purchasing better armor or finding certain hidden objects. When you get hit, you lose the appropriate number of armor points. Usually this is just 1, but it can be more than that. When your armor runs out of points, it shatters, leaving your bare barbarian flesh exposed to all manner of harm. From here, each hit depletes the correct amount of vitality. When your vitality drops to 0, you die. Better find a barrel full of armor, quick! With maxed out vitality and the best armor around, you can actually take 14 hits before dying. That's remarkably generous, especially for an arcade game. Of course, all the armor in the world won't protect you from some of the death-defying jumps you'll have to perform. Jumping is a little stiff in this game, and it takes some time to get used to, but it works. If you've played the older Castlevania games, you'll know what to expect. Basically, once you jump in a direction, you're committed. This is true to life, but it can make video game jumps rather difficult. You also jump higher straight up than you do to the left or right, and every now and then you can exploit this. You also need to be careful of the negative status effects that can befall you. I mentioned poison earlier, which locks out your throwing blades. It severely decreases your firepower, so avoid it at all costs. The other ailment, which is even worse, is confusion. This reverses your directional inputs. The game already requires some acrobatics, and they're taxing when the directions aren't foobarred, so it's way too easy to march off into a pit of spikes while you're confused. For this reason, you should keep a decent stock of potions on hand. Thankfully, the game introduces these concepts gradually to let you get used to them. They don't exist much early on. Then poison starts showing up, rarely at first, and as it becomes more common, eventually, confusion enters the fray as well. The action in this game is top-notch. There's a lot of combat, and it's fun every time. Whether you're slaying ordinary slimes or bringing down the big bad black dragon, you'll have a blast doing it. And pay close attention for cameos from your other Capcom favorites. Enjoy the exploration and bask in the glow of your spoils. And practice your platforming early on, because those skills will be tested as the game progresses. The gameplay really is the main selling point of this game. It's easy to get into, and it's deep enough to always pull you back in. It feels a lot like Ghosts and Goblins, and given how the armor works, and the appearance of Firebrand, I'm sure that's no accident. But even then, it feels much more polished than G&G does. Honestly, I had to force myself to quit playing this game in order to actually create this video. Yes, the game is that good. For all it's good, there are a few minor negatives to this game. I won't go so far as to say the graphics are bad. They're perfectly serviceable. They're just small and not very detailed. Plus, the game does frequently employ the use of palette swaps. Okay, no biggie, those are only cosmetic. The music is good, but the sound effects tend to range from okay to just plain weird. Easily the worst offender is the sound of your hero losing vitality. It doesn't even remotely make sense. But again, it's window dressing, so no worries. Finally, there's a lot of English in this game. But that's fairly common in Capcom games. And once more, that's all in the realm of fluff. Yes, these things do bring the game down, but only slightly. None have any meaningful impact on the game itself. I know why James Halliday, and by proxy, Ernest Cline, chose to showcase this game in Ready Player One.
Okay, this one's a doozy. Is this game worth it? If you're a nutcase like I am, then even the PCB board is worth it with its asking price of $180. But I realize that's not going to be the case for the average gamer. Thankfully, a good alternative exists in Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2. This game will only set you back about $20, and it has loads of Capcom goodies right here on it. So check it out. Definitely, in some form or fashion, give Black Tiger a chance. It may just be your new platforming favorite. Thanks for watching.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Power pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.